Coach, how is Chicago? It must have been pretty cool to see Kobe go off like that in the fourth.
Yeah, it was. There's no question about it. The first three quarters, I'm dying a little bit with him because he was. I told the guys I went up. I thought he was like 1 for 17 from three right before that, but it was wrong. He was 3 for 26, and so I try to go see every guy play in their rookie year and try to go see them early. And let me make sure we understand one thing. I had nothing to do with him making 7 threes, but it made me feel better to go up and just talk to him a little bit. And I had a chance. Jimmy Boylan got Kobe and brought him in his office, and then Jimmy left. And so this was before the game, and I talked to him. And as he said, I just told him to be Kobe. Don't stress it. I said, how long do you think you'll play? About 15 years? He said, I hope so. And I said, okay, we're 10 games into 1,500. So come on, quit stressing a little bit. Just be Kobe. And I think that he was really frustrated through the first three quarters. And then that first one went in, and it was on then, so it was pretty impressive, yeah.
Coach, you have your best recruiting class since 2009. What do you think contributes to that?
Getting lucky, working hard too, but I never, ever, ever get caught up in recruiting rankings. I really don't. And I think it was 2009 recruiting class. Was that the one that was number 1 in the country?
Depends on, you're talking about the 08, 09,
the one we had David and Travis Ware and Leslie McDonald and Dexter Strickland and John Henson. Now, come on, you guys figure it out. So I've never gotten caught up. I love those kids, and I love these kids, and it remains to be seen what they'll do. But I do feel really, really good about it. But I think, what year was it?
It was number 2 in the nation.
Kendall, Reggie, and Harrison was pretty good.
Yeah, Kendall, Reggie, Harrison was pretty good.
Justin,
Theo, and Joel was pretty good. Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich, Drew Gooden was pretty good. All 3 of those were top 15 picks. So, yeah, but I've never, I could care less. I just want guys that I like. And I think that we lost a couple of guys we would have liked. There's no question about that. But I feel very comfortable with it, happy with it. Extremely happy because I also think that they're high-quality kids. The character that they have, they're all characters too, but I do enjoy that part of it. Solid kids that all want to be better and all have big-time dreams and goals individually, but also have them as a team as well.
What's it like having to recruit a new point guard every year? It seems it's trending that way.
Well, I almost do that every year anyway, just about. I mean, you guys have heard me say I always want to have 3 point guards anyway, so it's not that big a difference. It's just that we lost Joel, and all of a sudden we have Kobe, who's very gifted, and we lost Kobe. Now we have Cole, who's very gifted, and you're probably going to lose Cole, so you need to have someone behind it. So, but there's not many years that I don't recruit a point guard because I want to have 3 really good point guards in the program.
Coach, with a team like Gardner-Webb coming in Friday, do you show your guys tape of the Evansville, Kentucky game, or do they know they got to treat every game like the same?
Yeah, they got to treat every game. I mean, they know about Evansville and Kentucky. I was at the Chicago game. I was at the Bulls, and Eric and Steve were with me, and one of them's keeping me up to date on Kentucky, Evansville, and the other was keeping me up to date on UNC Wilmington Campbell. So I know a lot about those games, and I think our players don't pay a lot of attention to them. But at the same time, if the game's on TV, they watch it more than I'll watch other games.
Roy, through the first 2 games, and obviously you've got another week of practice going into the Gardner-Webb game, what's the biggest thing you've learned about your team that maybe you didn't know before the season, or that maybe you were kind of questioning going into the year? There's probably a few things, but
there's not many. I mean, we had 30 days practice, 33, so we had a lot of time. Those 2 games not going to change my opinion very much, but we need to get more balanced scoring than we've gotten. But I knew that before we started too. I don't know that there's anything we've talked about. I don't know anything that I've been surprised about. I'd like to have B-Rob back out there because that's a guy, again, with more experience. Like to have Sterling back out there. It's another guy with more experience, but we don't have those guys. But I don't know if there's anything that I've learned during those 2 games that I didn't already know. But I know we got to have more balanced scoring. We got to shoot the ball better. You can't shoot 41 or whatever it is. You got 41%. You can't shoot that for a year and be very successful.
Coach, do you have an update health-wise on some of your guys like Armando?
Mondo will be okay. He'll play. Give me another name.
Rodney Sterling would be one.
Brandon Robinson.
Brandon will not play.
Does Anthony Harris get any closer?
I think Anthony and Jeremiah are progressing, so I think you could say they're getting closer. I think B-Rob's getting closer, but Anthony and Jeremiah were having to do some half-court stuff, but nothing full court. B-Rob's not doing anything yet at all, but I'm hopeful it'll be sooner rather than later. Sterling's not doing anything 5-on-5 at all. Is that everybody? Coach has got a crick in his neck, so but he's still coaching too.
I think you had a year with King Rice. Did you happen to see what he had to say about Coach Guthridge last
Yeah,
night?
it was a neat deal. It's somebody, I think it was Sean May, sent it to me early this morning, so I saw it and Harry called King. I mean, it was a neat deal for him, and King's emotional. I'm emotional, so that never bothered me about anybody else. But I thought that was really a neat deal for him.
It's kind of been
Called him and congratulated him because I think those are the kind of things that make this place a little special.
I was going to say it's kind of been a banner week for the notion of the Carolina family with you and Kobe and what King had to say last night.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pierce had a really big game last outing. What are your expectations for him moving forward?
To play better defense. He made some threes. I'd like to keep that going. What did he score? I guess he's averaging 11.5, so he scored 18. Yeah, he had 12 rebounds too. I'd like to see him keep doing that too. But it is one game, and I like to see more consistency from everybody, not just Justin. But I think he was not as stressful as he was the first game against Notre Dame. I think that helped too.
Coach Davis talked about this on the radio show about instilling, it's a little different level at Carolina than where it was for these grad transfers. So what kind of goes into kind of preparing them for what it takes to play this level and not off the court, practice, and the games?
Well, I think every day you got to remind them and try to get them prepared that it is a much different level. William & Mary, Charleston Southern is nothing against their programs, but this is a different level. And most of the times the competition you're going to face every night is better than you ever faced. And so I think the consistency of their effort and the consistency of their efficiency is something that we've been trying to make sure of, that they it's hard. I mean, it's when you jump out there and all of a sudden playing Notre Dame your first game, you play trying to guard John Mooney, you don't know what's going on. And you're hoping that everybody's not like that. So I think that's one thing. But the biggest thing for us is just trying to push them as hard as we can to, it's corny, but to be the best that they can possibly be.
Coach, we've seen 2 number 1 teams go down now. It started off, Michigan State goes down, and then Kentucky goes down to Evansville. What do you think for your team that process is, where in March and April you can be able to win 6 games in a row?
Geez, son, I don't even know what the crap I'm doing today. It is. It's, we're going to have close to 100 practices, and every day you try to get better. And we're not talking about 6 games in March. My first goal would be to make sure I'm still alive 6 games in March, but we're not talking about that. But and I know it sounds corny, but that's, you find somebody that has a more colorful way of saying it, but we're trying to get better every day. But I guess we won it in 17, didn't we? Lost early too, didn't we? Every game, every year we've won it, we've lost. And a lot of times, 05 we lost the first 2 conference games. 09.
17 we lost to Indiana.
Yeah.
That was our first.
Oh yeah, they killed us. Yeah. So it's college basketball is what it is. But just try to get better every single day and work at it and concentrate at it and try to figure out the most important things and really do a better job in that area. And things that aren't very important, don't worry about them.
What you've said multiple times that Cole's the best rebounding guard you've ever seen. What is it that he's got that innate ability?
Well, he's got the physical ability. He jumps well. He's strong, but he goes after them. I mean, Fat Lever, I think his real name is Lafayette. Yeah. I mean, he averaged a triple-double as a point guard for stretches during his career. And he was a great rebounder, and he went and got some offensive rebounds, which I don't want Cole to do because I don't want to give up anything going the other direction. But there have been some guards that have been good rebounders, but for a point guard, Cole does it better than anybody. But he goes and gets it, and that's the biggest thing. You've got to go and put yourself in that position. And he's not afraid to go in and mix it up with the bigger guys. He does have the strength and the jumping ability to go in there and compete for it. But he does. He bids on everything.
I mean, it's got to be, I guess it removes the excuses of your big guys. I know you want to be on them if he can go grab double.
Well, I'm on them because he's getting a lot more than they are, because I want them to get it too. But I've always felt like when Lakers, for example, everybody think they're probably the best fast break team ever in basketball when Magic was there. But I've always thought their best fast breaks were when Magic got the rebound. And because then there was no outlet pass, there was no catching and turning and all that. You just get the ball and you bust out. And so Magic left 2 of the opponents behind and sometimes 3 behind the first 5-10 feet. So now there's only 2 other guys to deal with. And so I've always felt that way. I've always encouraged perimeter players to get the rebound. They have the right to bust out on the break if they have the ability to do it. And the point guard always has the ability to do it. And Cole's going to get better at that too. I mean, he understands it more, and he's going to work on it even more.
There was an instance in the Notre Dame game where he went and tried to go get a defensive rebound and didn't come out with it, and that left a wide open guy for 3. What are some of the challenges with Cole being?
Well, now you got to make sure what you're saying there. He went for a defensive rebound.
And Gibbs ended up with a 3. It was in the first half. And there's some internet analysis out there that says we're not breaking as much, and sometimes we gave him an open 3 because Cole is rebounding too much on the defensive end. That's where that came from.
Belichick, 0. I could give a blankety blank what some analytics say. I watched the freaking game, and our point guard has 21 defensive rebounds. You think I care about one basket to tell the analytics? No, never mind. God almighty. The reason we don't have a break because the other freaking guys aren't running enough. And that's not Cole going to rebound. Jesus Christ.
Anybody else? But you got anything else?
I got something.
Okay.
Huber also said on the radio show that Cole is the best point guard he has ever been around. I thought that was a pretty crazy what do you think about that? And how would you compare that from this early of a
Well, if he said that, he feels that way. And he's been around some guys who are a lot better than the point guards I've been around because he played 12 years in the NBA. I think Cole is the most complete point guard that I've coached after 2 games. But I've had some pretty good point guards, and I want him to try to be the best, but I also want him to try to be the best player, not just the best point guard. It's way too early for me to say. I mean, it's first game against Notre Dame. That's about as impressive as it could possibly be. But why was it impressive? Seriously, I'm not picking on him because the shots went in. 7 for 24 the next game. So, I'm not getting too excited about that. But I do think he has the ability to be the best point guard that I've ever coached because there's no big deficiency in his game. Kendall was the best passing point guard, but Kendall didn't have the speed or the shot. Joel Berry had tremendous ability to shoot the ball. Marcus Page can make big shots, but Marcus physically wasn't like Cole is. Ty Lawson was so quick, it was ridiculous with the ball going down the court, and got to be a really, really good three-point shooter. In fact, the game Tuesday night where Kobe went off, it reminded me, I think Ty Lawson, one night made 10 threes in the NBA game. And it was just the same kind of thing, just kept making them, shaking his head. So to me, it's way too early to say something like that. But As I've said, I think he's the most complete, and he doesn't have any tremendous weakness. His shot's got to be better, but there's no tremendous weakness out there, and we'll wait and see what happens. But I'm not ready to say that yet, and I hope yet is the appropriate word, because I hope I can get to say that.
But then you get the last one.
Yeah, so Coach, you get to answer hundreds of questions from the press every week. If there's one question, just curious, what would you ask the press and the people in this room right now?
One question I would ask you guys? Now that's a question I've never been asked. I've been asked every question you possibly think of. Boy, that would be something.
Be careful what you say.
There's a lot of questions I may ask at certain times. No, it's a hard. The job you guys have is a lot harder now than it was 20 years ago. You know, you just had 2 or 3 people to compete with, and if you could outsmart those guys, you were better. Now you got to outsmart those guys, and then 500 more that either are great at what they do or have no clue, but they still put it out there with all the social media and the analytics and everything else that people can put out there. But I don't know if there's a question I would ask you guys. And I'm not being, what was that, 17, when I said, frankly, do you think I care what you think? And that was very harsh, but that's because people say, you should have taken Joel out, you should have put Joel in, and you should have called a timeout. And I said, we've won some games, so you think I care what you think, And it was being truthful, but it was really harsh. The funniest one now is I did have 100 years ago, left my point guard at home, got mad at him. Backup point guard would go into on the road in a league game, and the score's tied, 0-0 on the clock, and my backup point guard goes to the free throw line with 2 and misses both of them. And the first question I got, and I did say this to the guy, it was the dumbest question I'd ever heard in my entire life, because he said, you think missing those free throws at the end of the game were a big factor in the game? And I thought, God almighty, where did you come from? So I told him, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard in my life. If you make 1, we win. If you make 2, we win. If you don't make any, we got a chance to lose. So I thought that was the dumbest. But I don't know if I'll think about that. Come back in the middle of the year.
He'll be here tomorrow night. You can
All right, that's good. Thanks, guys.